My name is Amala. I am 19 years old, and I was on school vacation. My family had planned a trip together, but I decided not to go. I told my parents that I wanted to spend my vacation at my aunt's house instead. My aunt is my mother's biological sister, and I'd always enjoyed visiting her. She lived in a quiet neighborhood about 2 hours away, and staying there sounded a lot more relaxing than spending a week rushing from one tourist attraction to another. My parents didn't have a problem with it. "If you're sure," my mom said while helping me pack my bag, "just remember to help your aunt around the house. She's always doing things for everyone else." "I will." My dad smiled. "And don't stay up talking all night." I laughed. No promises. The next morning they dropped me off before leaving for their own trip. My aunt greeted me with the biggest hug. "Vacation officially starts now," she said. For the first few days, everything was exactly what I had hoped for. We cooked breakfast together every morning. We went grocery shopping. We cleaned the house. Sometimes we'd sit on the back porch with iced tea and talk for hours about family stories I'd never heard before. It felt peaceful. My aunt had always treated me like a second daughter. She wasn't overly strict, but she liked routines. Breakfast at the same time every morning. Dinner together every evening. The kitchen cleaned before anyone relaxed for the night. I actually liked that. It made the house feel warm. My cousin Elian was 20 years old. He had recently started a small custom furniture business. Most days he left early in the morning and came home around dinner carrying sawdust on his clothes and looking completely exhausted. Despite working long hours, he somehow always had enough energy to joke around. The moment he walked through the front door, he'd find something to tease me about. "You've already eaten all the good snacks, haven't you? I was protecting them from you." "Oh, really?" "Absolutely." "That's funny, because the cookie container looks suspiciously empty." "That's called evidence without proof." He'd laugh. I'd laugh. My aunt would roll her eyes. "You two sound like you're 10 years old." That was simply our relationship. He was the older cousin who treated me like an annoying little sister. I teased him. He teased me back, nothing more. After almost a week, the house had settled into a comfortable routine. One afternoon, my aunt announced she needed to go to the market. "I'll only be gone about an hour," she said. She looked at both of us. "Don't burn the house down." Elian saluted dramatically. "No promises." She laughed before grabbing her shopping bags and leaving. The front door closed behind her. For a few minutes, the house was completely quiet. Elian walked into the kitchen and opened the refrigerator. "You want something to drink?" "Sure." He tossed me a bottle of lemonade. I barely caught it. "You're trying to break my fingers." "I'm testing your reflexes." "They're excellent." "We'll see." We sat at the kitchen table talking about completely random things. He told me about a customer who wanted a dining table built in less than 3 days. I told him that's impossible. "What did he say?" "He offered more money." "Did it work?" "No." "What if he doubled it?" He pretended to think seriously. I still would have said no. Liar. Okay, maybe I would have thought about it. I laughed so hard, I nearly spilled my drink. A few minutes later, he showed me pictures of furniture he'd finished that week. I genuinely thought they looked amazing. "I can't believe you built these." He shrugged. "I've always liked working with my hands." "You should post more of your work online." "I hate social media." "That's exactly why your business account has like 12 followers. 12 loyal followers. 12 relatives. They count." We both started laughing again. That was the exact moment the front door opened. Neither of us heard my aunt come inside. She walked into the kitchen carrying grocery bags. Her eyes moved from me to Elian, then back to me. The smile disappeared from her face almost instantly. The room became strangely quiet. Neither of us understood why. "You're back already?" Elian asked. She didn't answer him. Instead, she slowly set the grocery bags on the counter without taking her eyes off us. Something about the way she was looking at us made my stomach tighten. She wasn't angry exactly. She looked confused, then worried, then suspicious. I had never seen that expression on her face before. "Amala," she said quietly. "Can you come with me for a minute?" Her tone immediately made me nervous. "Sure." I followed her into the small sitting room next to the kitchen. The moment we were alone, she closed the door. She folded her arms. Then she asked a question I never expected to hear. "What exactly is going on between you and Elian?" For a second, I honestly thought I'd misunderstood her. "What? You heard me?" I stared at her. "What do you mean?" I asked, "What is going on between you two?" My mind went completely blank. "There isn't anything going on. I came home early." "I know. I saw the way you were laughing together." I blinked. "We were talking. You've been spending a lot of time together. Because we're in the same house. You've become very close. He's my cousin." She continued watching me. The silence felt unbearable. Finally, I said, "I don't understand why you're asking me this." She sighed. "Maybe I'm wrong." "I think you are. But I need the truth. I am telling you the truth." She looked unconvinced. "You don't have anything you're hiding from the family?" "No." "You promise?" "Yes." "Nothing inappropriate?" I felt my face burn with embarrassment. "No." "He is your cousin." "I know he is." "So explain what I just saw." I almost laughed from pure disbelief. "You saw us laughing." "It looked like more than that." "It wasn't. We joke like that all the time." She shook her head slowly. "I've never seen you laugh like that before." "Because he told a funny story." She looked away for several seconds. When she spoke again, her voice had changed. "I think I need to call your mother." My heart dropped. "What?" "I can't ignore what I saw." "You didn't see anything." "I saw enough to worry me." "Please don't do that. If everything is innocent, then there shouldn't be a problem." "There isn't a problem." "Then your mother can hear that too." I couldn't believe what was happening. Only 15 minutes earlier we'd been arguing about cookies. Now I felt like I was being accused of something I couldn't even understand. I tried once more. "Aunt, please listen to me." "I am listening." "No, you're listening without believing me." She didn't answer. Instead, she reached into her pocket and picked up her phone. Before she could unlock it, her phone started ringing. The screen lit up. "Mom, calling." My aunt looked at the display. Then she looked at me. Neither of us spoke. Finally she answered. "Hello?" I couldn't hear my mother's words. I could only hear my aunt's side of the conversation. "Yes. She got here safely." A pause. "She's right here." Another pause. Then my aunt looked directly into my eyes. Her expression became even more serious. "I actually need to talk to you about something." Every muscle in my body tensed. I suddenly realized that my vacation wasn't about to end with happy memories. It was about to become the biggest family misunderstanding I'd ever experienced. And what none of us knew yet was that someone else had seen exactly what happened in the kitchen that afternoon. Someone who had remained completely silent. Someone whose version of events would eventually change everything. I didn't know who that person was yet. At that moment, all I knew was that my aunt was standing in the middle of her living room, with my mom still on speakerphone, looking at me like she'd caught me doing something unforgivable. "Tell your mother what I saw," my aunt said. "I already have," I answered, my voice shaking. I told her exactly what happened. "You left out the important part." "There isn't another part." My mom finally interrupted. "Enough." Her voice wasn't loud, but it was firm enough that both of us stopped talking. "Amala, I want to hear this from you one more time." Slowly. I swallowed. Elian came home from work. We were sitting in the kitchen talking. He was telling me about a customer who wanted him to build something impossible. I laughed because he started acting out the conversation. Then Aunt Lisa came home, saw us laughing, and assumed something was wrong. Silence. Then my mom asked, "Is that really everything?" "Yes." I didn't hesitate, because it was the truth. My aunt let out a frustrated sigh. "You always believe her." "I didn't say that," my mom replied. "But you're acting like I'm imagining things." I said I'm listening. Before anyone could speak again, the front door opened. Elian walked inside carrying 2 grocery bags. He looked from me to his mother, then noticed my mom's voice coming from the phone. "What happened?" Nobody answered immediately. My aunt crossed her arms. "You tell me." Elian frowned. "Tell you what? What was going on before I got home?" He looked completely confused. "What do you mean?" "You know exactly what I mean." "No, I really don't." She pointed toward me. "The 2 of you." He stared at her for several seconds, before realization slowly crossed his face. "Oh." He rubbed the back of his neck. "Mom." "There is no mom, answer me." "We were talking." "That's all?" "Yes." "You expect me to believe that?" He looked genuinely hurt. "I've never lied to you." "You also never laughed like that with her before." Elian blinked. "We've joked around since we were kids." "Not like today." I couldn't stay quiet anymore. Because today, he was telling me about a customer who tried to pay him with baseball tickets. Elian nodded immediately. "Exactly. I told her the guy wanted custom shelves, but kept changing the measurements every 5 minutes. And then you started pretending to be him," I added. Despite everything, I almost smiled remembering it. "You even copied his voice." My aunt looked between us. Neither of us had rehearsed anything. We were simply remembering the same conversation, but instead of calming her down, she looked even more unsettled. My mom spoke again. "Lisa, did you actually hear what they were talking about before you walked in?" "No." "So you only saw them laughing?" "I know what I saw." "No," my mom answered gently. "You know what you thought you saw." That sentence hung in the room. For the first time, my aunt didn't answer immediately. Instead, she looked away. Then the doorbell rang. Everyone froze. "I'll get it," Elian said. A minute later he returned with an older woman from next door, Mrs. Reynolds. She had lived beside my aunt for years. She smiled politely before noticing how tense everyone looked. "Am I interrupting something?" "No," Elian said quickly. "Actually..." He looked at his mother. "Maybe your timing is perfect." Mrs. Reynolds looked confused. "What happened?" Nobody answered. Then she looked at me. "Honey, are you okay?" I shrugged. "I don't really know." My aunt sighed. "It's a family matter." Mrs. Reynolds started backing toward the door. "In that case, I should probably..." "Wait." My mom's voice came through the phone. "Mrs. Reynolds, can I ask you something?" "Of course. Were you outside this afternoon?" She nodded. "I was watering my flowers." "Were you near the kitchen window?" Again she nodded. "I was." My heart skipped. Something changed in Elian's expression. He slowly looked toward me. Neither of us said a word. My mom continued. "Did you happen to see Amala and Elian before Lisa got home?" Mrs. Reynolds thought for a moment. "I suppose I did." The room became completely silent. They were standing in the kitchen. My aunt folded her arms. "Exactly." Mrs. Reynolds continued. "They were laughing so hard that Elian nearly dropped his coffee." I nodded. "Yes. He was pretending to be one of his customers." I stared at her. "So, you heard that?" She smiled. "He was loud enough for half the neighborhood to hear." Elian covered his face with one hand. "I knew I was overacting." Mrs. Reynolds laughed softly. You absolutely were. Nobody else laughed. She looked around the room, slowly realizing why everyone was staring at her. Wait. Her smile disappeared. Is this what everyone is upset about? My aunt spoke quietly. You watched them? I happened to glance through the open window while I was outside. And what? What did you see? Mrs. Reynolds looked genuinely confused. I saw two cousins laughing. Nothing more. I even remember thinking how nice it was that they still got along. My aunt's shoulders dropped. But there wasn't any but. She looked directly at my aunt. Lisa, if you're asking whether I saw anything inappropriate. She shook her head. I didn't. Not even close. The room became painfully quiet. For what felt like an entire minute, nobody spoke. Then my mom quietly said through the phone, "Thank you." Mrs. Reynolds nodded. I hope everything works out. She left as quietly as she had arrived. The front door closed. No one moved. No one spoke. My aunt finally sat down. She looked exhausted. Older somehow. She couldn't finish. I realized something then. This wasn't just about me. This fear hadn't started that afternoon. My mom must have realized it too. Lisa. Her voice had completely changed. When did this start? My aunt covered her face. I don't know. Yes, you do. Another long silence. Finally she whispered. After my divorce. Nobody interrupted. I stopped trusting my own judgment. She looked at Eliane. I worried, constantly. About everything. If you were 5 minutes late, I imagined the worst. If you smiled at someone, I wondered if they wanted something from you. If someone was nice to you. She looked at me with tears filling her eyes. I questioned their motives. I suddenly wasn't angry anymore. I was sad. Very sad. She had convinced herself danger existed, even when it didn't. I wasn't trying to hurt you, she whispered. I honestly believed I was protecting this family. My mom answered softly. I know, but fear can make us see things that aren't there. My aunt began crying. Real crying. The kind that comes after holding something inside for years. She looked at me. I'm sorry. I didn't answer immediately. Not because I wanted to punish her. Because I was still trying to process everything that had happened. She had accused me. She had doubted me. She had nearly destroyed the trust between two sisters. She had nearly destroyed my relationship with my own mother. All because she believed what fear was telling her instead of what was actually happening. Finally I walked over and sat beside her. I was so embarrassed. I know. I thought everyone was going to believe I'd done something terrible. I know. I didn't know how to defend myself because there was nothing to defend. Fresh tears rolled down her face. I'm sorry. This time. I believed her. That didn't erase what happened. Trust doesn't magically repair itself in one afternoon. But it was the first honest step. A few days later, my parents returned from their trip. My mom hugged me for what felt like forever. On the drive home she finally said, I never stopped believing you. I was scared. So was I. She smiled sadly. Families don't become stronger because they never face misunderstandings. They become stronger when they're willing to admit them. Over the following weeks, my aunt worked hard to rebuild everyone's trust. She apologized again to Eliane. She apologized to me in front of the whole family, without making excuses. She even thanked Mrs. Reynolds for speaking up when it mattered most. As for Eliane and me, nothing really changed. We still teased each other. We still argued over board games. We still laughed until someone told us to keep the noise down. The only difference was that now my aunt smiled when she heard us, instead of assuming the worst. Looking back, the hardest part wasn't being falsely accused. It was realizing how quickly fear can rewrite an ordinary moment into something that never happened. One misunderstanding almost divided our entire family. The truth didn't arrive because someone shouted the loudest. It arrived because one quiet witness finally told everyone exactly what she had seen. And sometimes, that's all it takes to bring a family back together.